Good morning, everyone, and thank you all for being here. Today is July 14th already, 10 a.m. my time in Austin, Texas. Um, First of all, I want to let you all know we have an amazing guest, two of them, and great friends of mine, Salud Celinda and Tom Williamson, who are right next to me. If you could see, Salud is the caregiver, and her husband Tom is the stroke survivor. Good morning, Salud and Tom. How are you both?
Good.
Good morning. How are you doing?
Good. Nice to see you. And first of all, thank you all for being here. I can see everybody showing up, and we appreciate that. So, how are you guys?
Good.
Awesome.
Let him talk more than me, okay?
Oh, and hey, it's all good. And I'm just going to bring some comments if you don't mind when we're going. So,
Right.
Tom had his stroke 5 years ago, correct?
Yes.
Yes. Good, Tom.
November 1st.
March.
March 31st.
Wow. Yeah, but your whole story is like a love story. You've been together for so long. I mean, you met. When did you meet? I mean, the story is terrific.
I went to 7th grade. And we were in 8th grade.
Eighth was that? Oh, eighth grade.
Uh-huh.
Wow, that's terrific. But so eighth grade you met, and
We
what?
went south.
Oh, seventh. Okay, so where did you go from there? I mean, did you stay together as far as friendship throughout the whole?
Pretty
You know,
much.
uh-oh.
Yes. Well, we were teenagers after that school.
Yeah.
In the Salud. So I had a different uh
Wow.
Okay. I'll just fill in.
Oh yeah, fill in the blanks, which is terrific.
Yeah, he was a ladies' man.
Ah,
So he went off, though.
good.
And see,
Way to
look,
go,
he's
Tom.
using my hand. But he went to a different high school. That's what he was saying in 10th grade. So we actually lost touch with each other from 10th grade until 2010 at the 40-year high school reunion. He went to Westchester High, which was just around the corner from where I was going at St. Bernard's in Playa del Rey. And one of our friends and a good friend of Tom since grade school, Kat, uh, actually organized a mini reunion uh, with the visitation school. So that's where we had met. And so, anyway, that's how we re-met in 2010. And some of us actually became Facebook friends and kept in touch and would get together every so often.
Wow.
So,
That was in 2010.
yes.
Oh,
And he had been married twice. Let me tell that. I
okay.
never got married. I told him that he broke my heart.
Ah,
I've got all these devices in front of me only because I'm like going, hello. No.
wow.
So anyway,
So 2010 is when you kind of got back together as far as in
well,
well
we
at
met.
the
pretty much
that back up then, yeah.
as a 12.
And then
Uh-oh, we can't hear you.
can you hear me now?
Yes, now I can hear you.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
Maybe it's because I was being quiet there, trying to listen to Tom.
No, I saw your mouth moving.
Oh, but nothing came out.
No sound.
Wow.
Uh,
Yes.
anyway, he, he was still married at the time, and his wife passed away a few months later. But after we had re-met in 2010,
Right.
but during that time, we had gotten together with some of the other classmates
Right.
for brunch and everything, and so when his wife passed away, uh, I don't even remember if I knew that yet or not, but I was traveling and doing things, and apparently he was stalking me on Facebook. Never comment.
Tom. Oh my
Did you
goodness.
hear him?
Probably, but
Oh,
But he never commented, so that's a stalker.
yeah.
So he saw all the traveling I did and the fun I was having. And so when he was ready, he thought, oh, let me get a hold of her, you know.
And you fell hook, line, and sinker.
Me?
Right, Salute? You did.
Well, I made him sweat a little bit because it's like he's not going to break my heart again.
Right, right. So what year was that?
That was in when he called me for a date, but luckily he didn't ask me for a date. He asked me for help, and so that was a good thing because he figured out I like to help,
Right.
and so he asked me for help for another reunion, and but then he finally asked me out, but I said, oh, I'm out of town, you know, which was normal for me.
Right,
And
right.
so he thought I was just giving him the runaround. And
Ah,
finally he just says, well, let me know when you'd like to go out to dinner. I'd like to take you out to dinner. And so I said, no, really, I am out of town. And when I come home, I'm going to be out of town again. So, so
you're
that's
just
why I
busy.
had time for marriage.
Wow.
And then yes, and then it moved pretty fast because we went out August 2013, and he asked me to marry him September 14th, 2013, and we got married August 10th, 2014.
Wow.
And take it away from there, Tom. Then what happened? No,
not a lot.
not a lot.
Oh my goodness.
Oh boy, short-term memory. I don't know
Ah,
about that.
no, that's terrific. I understand. So then you you got married and then something happened 7 months right later,
Yes, we were actually up here in Napa,
right?
where we are right now, and people go, "Should you be traveling to Napa all the time?"
Yeah,
And he had his massive stroke. He golfed the day before,
right?
some of my cousins, and then that day he had uh, we'd gone wine tasting, and he had a headache. But I said, "Are you sure you're okay?" And he goes, "Yeah, you know." He said that he got them normal regularly,
Right.
and that was a sign, and you know, one of the signs of a stroke also. And so anyway, because it was pretty bad, but he has a high tolerance for pain, and so all right, we went to dinner, we came back here, watched a movie, went to bed. And shortly after going to bed, he started talking in his sleep, or I thought he was talking in his sleep. And I said, "Hey, are you having a bad dream?"
Right.
And he said, "No, go back. I'm just tired. Go back to sleep." But it was slurred. And so I turned on the light. I said, "You're not drunk." And I turned on the light and I looked at him and I went, "Oh my goodness." So I knew he was having a stroke.
You knew that.
And I knew that. Yeah.
Wow.
So I called the front desk and I said, please get 911. And I think I told them I think he's having a stroke. But anyway, they sent up the security guards and to make sure I was fine. But in the meantime, I just flipped him over to make sure he wasn't going to suffocate himself. And and got things together. I was a teacher. I am a teacher all the time. So it's
Sure.
like, boom, get into action, got the phones and the chargers ready, and the security guards came up and to just make sure everything was fine. And they went down to get the paramedics, and they came right away, and they started working on him. But then they realized we better get him to the hospital, and the hospital is only about 5 miles from here, so they took him to Queen of the Valley here in Napa.
Right, right.
Yeah, so they were able to do it, and I actually, when he had talked and was slurring, I looked at my watch. So I noted the time. That's really important. And so when we got to the hospital, I was able to tell them the approximate time that it had started the visual part for me. And so they had me wait, and they took the test to make sure what kind of stroke. And then the neurologist called me in and spoke to me and said that they could do the TPA because it was within the time. And it says 3 hours, but they actually have a little bit longer window now, about 4 hours. But
Right.
chance it, get there right away, because if it's
Exactly.
ischemic, then they can do the TPA. And they actually let me be in the emergency room with him. And having been a teacher and being really drilled for emergencies with the students, I was
Right.
really calm. I wasn't hysterical and getting in their way. I sat away so that they could work on him.
Sure.
And so he does not remember. I asked him yesterday, I said, what do you remember of that time? And he said nothing. He did say, what did you remember about this? Acute?
Uh, oh,
Oh, see, he did say something that he remembered, and he even told me how many days he'd been there. So
Wow, it's amazing.
yeah. So, but
But
just yesterday we were having that conversation, and
right.
so now that I'm asking him, he can't remember it. So it's interesting.
Yeah. And it's luckily, Salud, that you were a teacher of disabled kids or something like that, right? Or
I
you,
was actually in the classroom. I taught all levels, from very gifted to a little bit of slower learners,
right.
but they were all learners, and I treated them all the same. Like they were all like up here, not here. And then when I went to the home hospital program with our district, I did work with special needs children.
That's okay.
And then in the classroom, they were mainstreamed into my room also.
Right. And
So
that's why good for you to realize Tom was having a stroke, because I didn't know what it was. And I don't think my family knew either.
right, I know. And that's why it's so important that we really educate people,
Yes.
and it can actually happen at any age. I just became friends with somebody, and he said that he had his first hemorrhagic stroke in 1970, and then all the way up to 1987. And you just think, oh my gosh. And he said the first one, I'm not even going to say the name, but the first one happened in the womb. And you go, holy moly.
Yeah.
So even before he was born. So
Right.
that's what really is amazing with the stroke and TBI community,
Right.
is how many people are that keep on working hard to just keep on moving forward, and
Right.
that's inspiring to me. I'm gonna
It
get
really is.
I
Yeah.
get emotional.
But it is. It's funny. Salud, we all belong in this community. We call it the community with stroke survivors, caregivers, and I mean, we all post some videos and stuff or quotes, but that all inspires me seeing everybody do that. And when I do my videos, I do it to inspire and to show what I'm doing good or not good, so that I can work on that. But so Tom was in the hospital. You were both in the hospital, and then from there, you were in the hospital for how long? So Tom, you remember sometimes how many days?
It's not for 420 days, 21 days.
Actually, remember short-term memory
Oh.
here. Let me, okay.
436.
He was at the one hospital at the Queen of the Valley
Yes.
for about 2 weeks or so because we belonged to Kaiser, and they wanted
Yes.
to transfer him down to Vallejo, which is from the hospital about 13 miles. And I told them, you are not transferring him until he is stable,
Right.
because even though he was going to be traveling by ambulance, it was like, you're not moving him. So
Right,
that's
right.
one thing I've always stressed is an advocate needs to be very there and present and
Yes.
letting them know, no way, and I also am very lucky is my younger brother is an internal medicine doctor, and he was a hospitalist for Kaiser down in San Diego.
Right.
And so I was able to contact him and let him know, and I actually had him talk to the neurologist and all of the other team, but normally it was the neurologist that they would speak together. And because the day or two after his stroke, they had to put a stent in his head because it was swelling.
Right. Right.
And,
Okay.
and so it was pretty hairy in the beginning there. But so anyway, when he was able to be transferred, he was transferred down to the Kaiser Vallejo. And we're known up here. We have a Kaiser membership number, and down in LA, or they're always asking, so where do you live? So it's like, both places. But he was at that hospital. Let's see, he had the stroke March 31st, and they flew us home down to LA May 8th. And we were here at our timeshare, and everything was great. They took care of me, and I did stay at the hospital. They had a special area bed in his room, even in the ICU.
Right.
And so, and they started physical therapy and the different therapies pretty much right away. And I did an update for our friends and family on Facebook, and then I emailed. So I have all of that time pretty documented.
Yeah. Good for
Because,
you.
we forget after a
Yeah.
while.
Exactly.
And so they flew us home, and he was in the hospital in West LA
Okay.
for a week from May 8th to May 15th. And he actually was eating pureed food.
Yeah.
He had
Yeah.
a trach at the time, but he was on pureed food. They had put in a trach and a G tube
Yep.
right away. So Queen of the Valley was fantastic, and he wasn't moving his left side at all, but he squirmed all over that bed, squirmed like crazy. We had to put bumpers on, and the pulmonologist actually says, "Oh, that's good." And I
Yeah.
said, "Good." Here he is attached to all these tubes and everything. And he goes, "No, it's good that he's moving." And I said, "All right, hey." And then eventually his toe started moving uh, on his left foot. His right was fine, pretty fine. And
Right.
so anyway, lean this way. There you go. He tends to lean to the right.
Hey,
So
that's why we call him Houdini.
yes, that's exactly why we call him Houdini. So then when we went down to LA, he was transferred to a subacute. And the one subacute that I really liked had no room. But I was given the little hint of go down there and meet the admissions person. And so by my going there, they actually made a way of finding a bed for him.
Oh,
And
nice, nice.
yeah, so and it was the best subacute. And tell them how many days. Now I think he remembers this one. How many days were you there?
101.
Did you
How do you
understand him?
101?
Yes.
Oh, yeah, it's incredible. All the that's why I always say that strokes are. We all have our own fingerprint. They're so different. And 101 days in the subacute.
Right. And
Wow.
then because I was going to eventually take him home and not send him to a nursing facility,
Yeah, good point.
then Kaiser paid for an acute rehab.
Wow,
And
nice.
sent to Rancho Los Amigos, which was a county facility. And I
Right.
always thought, a county facility, oh my gosh, and I was cringing.
Yeah.
It turned out to be the best experience for him. And it was like a country club, you just go back.
You never
And
want to leave.
yeah, so he had really good therapy there also. And when they were gonna, it was supposed to be for 2 weeks, but I asked for an extra week and they gave it to us. And when he was ready to go home, they made sure that I could transfer him into the car also, and then
Right?
into the shower bench, or yeah, the tub, because at home we have a tub that he would be using. So the bench,
Right.
and then what else did they do? I'm actually posting some of those old videos and pictures on our page to just
Okay.
let people know that here he had this massive, it actually was in his brainstem, and it affected quite a few areas. And so, um, uh, but he made really good progress, and they made sure that I knew how to change his trach.
Right.
And I had to practice and show on a doll. But and thank goodness they did, because the second day after getting home, the caregiver was sitting and looking at him, and I was preparing dinner, and she goes, "Oh my God, Salud, he just pulled out his trach." I went, "What?" And
Wow.
so I thought, no, Houdini. And so
Yeah.
um, I got the stuff ready and I was able to insert it. And no problem, just went in like, they had taught me.
Right.
And then, then like a couple nights later, he pulled it out again. But it must have been as soon as I fell asleep, because it was laying nice and neat next to him. And I thought, no. And I
Again.
tried putting one in, and I was not going to force it. And because I knew that it closes pretty fast.
Right.
And so I got him dressed, took him down to the ER. I didn't even wake up the caregiver, because she, I just felt I can do this.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
two of us lose sleep. And the doctor had problem getting it in.
Really?
Yes, yes. So can you imagine if a layperson tries to do that? So yeah, and and then and he had pulled it out a couple. Oh yeah, at the subacute, he pulled it out the very first night that I left him, and I was driving home, and I wasn't even down the hill yet, and they called me.
Right. Right.
He's okay. but he pulled out his trach, and I thought, oh, so that was the start. So I think that that's probably part of the problem of him not being able to eat yet. He's, because he's got the scar tissue and probably some damage in there. But the thing
Yeah.
is that's why we're working on him talking and right?
Right.
Well,
Okay.
yeah. And that's good. So a lot of people maybe that don't know, if they're caregivers or whoever, don't know what a G tube is. And so you can explain that's to feed you.
Yeah, it's a feeding tube,
Yeah.
and it goes right into the stomach. And I crush the medicines, put it in there also, and I
Right.
probably do better than some of the nurses when
R-
he goes into the hospital because
Right.
they're not used to. They actually want to attach somebody to a kangaroo where it'll just drip in,
Right.
and
Yeah.
they don't know how to do the bolus feeding. And at the acute rehab, they realized that he needed to have the bolus feeding instead of the drip
Right.
because there were three of us around him, and he started pulling it out. I mean, everybody's hands just went right to him.
Yes.
He likes to take things apart,
Got to tie his
So,
hands behind his back.
oh, the hospitalization in March. I think the hospitalist just came in this March, um, and he saw Tom in action,
Yeah.
Houdini in
Messing
action,
with it.
and he walked right out and he says, "We're going to have to put mitts on him." And I said, "That's not going to work. He knows how to turn those around and he's
Yeah.
out of." So they put wrist restraints. They don't like to restrain anybody because it is imprisonment,
Yeah.
but
Yeah. No, I agree. I
this one
agree.
needs to be imprisoned.
So how long, Salud or Tom, how long were you total in the hospital, plural hospitals, like combined?
Okay, so he went in March 31st and he was finally released from the acute rehab
Right.
um, September 15th, 2015.
Quite some time.
Yeah, yeah. It was the hospitalization and then 101 days in the in the subacute. And
Right.
then, and I have a video of that where he was so loved. And oh, we spent our first anniversary at the subacute. So I
Right.
had catered lunch for all the workers, and then some of our friends came and joined us, and some of our business partners, and um, and so it was fun. And then our hairdresser had come to the hospital to cut
Wow.
his hair uh, when he was at the first hospital, and then she came again on the day of our anniversary to cut his hair again. So
Wow.
we have so many wonderful, beautiful people that have been in our lives right there.
Yeah.
And that summer when he was in the subacute, I actually went to our business convention in
Right.
Las Vegas for a week. I and I was fine, but what I did was I put it out there to our friends, hey, who can come at this time, this time, this time. I made sure that it was after his therapies in the morning,
Right.
and so they were all amazed that he always had a visitor, whether it was during the week or on the weekends. I would schedule like at least three different visitors on the weekends, and I had all his clothes bagged and labeled for each day, and then I had a family reunion up here, and I was gone for I think 12 or 15 days, and
Right.
again, people signed up to be with him during that time, and people are always telling me you've got to take care of yourself, and I said I do. I during
You're
that time, you do need to make sure somebody is there. But I felt really comfortable with the subacute that the therapists were really on top of things. There was just one
Right.
person that, even when I was there, would come in and say, "Hey, Tom, do you want to do something, whatever therapy?" She was actually not a therapist. She was an aide. And
Right.
and uh, uh, and of course, a stroke person would say no, and so that's another thing is, if they say no like 3 times, they're written off from therapies.
Right.
And so
Yeah.
so my being there, and or else then they also knew that other people, when I wasn't there, were going to be there.
Right.
um uh they Anyway, this one said, "Oh, but we're supposed to ask." And I said, "Can you ask in a different way?"
Yeah.
And I even gave her the suggestion of, "Tom, do you want to start with your arms or with your legs?"
Yeah.
And she wasn't there. The other people that would come in during the weekends, they would actually do that, and he worked with them. And so it's like,
Right.
hello. So when we had the family meeting with the team, the doctors and the therapists, they actually said that person had other family members mentioning that, and I thought, well, then why is she still here? Write her up. It's like,
Yeah. Yeah. You're asking right closed-ended questions because you don't want to give them a way out for the
right.
therapy. You know.
Don't ask a yes or no answer. It's, what do you want to start with? Do you want to start with this or with this? Give
Yeah.
them 2 choices, and they will,
One
will
or the
choose one.
other.
So anyway, yeah, and fast forward in January of 2016, he started the traveling.
Yes. And yeah, you didn't hold him back. I mean, it was traveling with you as a stroke survivor, and you made sure you had you know, all the essentials to go with him, and you're not gonna let it hold you back because I know with my wife, she had to take care of herself so she could take care of me. It's so important, and that's what you do.
Right, right. And there are so many caregivers that we have met, through this whole journey. And it is a journey.
Yes, it
And
is.
and we know that, I used to call it our roller coaster ride, because and we're on this one right now. The But we're here. He was just in the
Yeah.
hospital again, and
Right.
I told him, "Hey, don't go in the hospital during COVID, because I'm not going to be able to be there." And sure enough, he had 3 ER visits within a week, and
Right.
so third visit they admitted him, and that was just before we left. We were supposed to leave July 2nd, and
Right.
they released him June 29th. And with me giving him antibiotics for 6 weeks that were going
Right.
to be. So he is like, ah, but you know, you just have to have what, Tom?
PMA,
What is it?
partial action,
Right. What is it again?
partial action.
Yeah. So and he comes from a family. Are you talking, or am I?
Oh, me?
Can you
No,
hear us?
I'm listening to you.
Oh,
You're
okay. Okay. I thought maybe. Uh, because you know how we have this all rigged up right
yes,
now.
I know. We talked earlier about this. Amazing.
It is really amazing. See, we figured it out, right?
Hey, exactly.
Anyway,
We do what we
yeah.
have to do. And I just want to interrupt. One thing is, to everybody, I had the distinct pleasure with Barbara and myself to meet you both in Southern California for the night. We had breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And you made Tom get into the car by himself, which was, I was nervous because I walk like a penguin, but you made sure the safety first. But Tom, I'm so proud of you. You got into your vehicle by yourself, put the seatbelt on. I mean, bravo. terrific. And how long ago was that? That was in July. That wasn't last year. Or was it the year before? I don't know.
It was just in 2019. It was in August when you guys were down
Right.
in Dana Point, and we live in Inglewood. So it was
Right.
just a little drive, and you were here for a family thing down in San Diego.
Yeah, as we always,
Yeah.
that was what we usually do, but because of the heat here in Texas. But
Right.
so, but so now, like we're fast forwarding. Tom is doing a lot better, and you work with him all the time. I mean, this doesn't stop. I mean, as a caregiver and a stroke survivor, I know you said that earlier. Sometimes we just, I'm just going to sit around. I don't want to do anything. But you make him do things. Does he go into therapy now? Still, is he doing anything now with this COVID, or probably not?
Well, it was going to be video,
Yeah. Oh yeah.
and so I went along with that for a little bit, but
Sure.
the therapist wanted a gait belt on him. We never had a gait belt on him
Wow.
ever.
Really?
Even I learned from this subacute, because he had a fantastic therapist there. And then I actually had somebody coming to the house twice a week for an hour each time.
Wow.
And he's great, Joshua, down in Southern California, Joshua Patalos. Anyway, he had him crawling on the floor. Some of our caregivers were really good too, and I trusted them to be able to. So I have videos of those also, So one of these
Yeah.
days I'll get those videos uploaded to our page, and then eventually to YouTube. But and I think I saw Leslie Hadley, and
Yes.
Leslie, and if you're still here, Leslie, I loved what you said about the learning side and the teaching side. And so
Right.
we're
Right.
doing that now, even on our exercise thing. And I tell people it's because Leslie Hadley said that. And then Tom Broussard saying that it's not a stroke survivor or a stroke warrior, it's a stroke educator, because that's
Yes.
exactly what all of you and what we're doing with our page is educating people. That and
Yes.
so anyway, it is a journey, and yes, you did see him getting into the van. We have a van,
Yes.
and and because of Rancho Los Amigos, and they actually only saw me do it once because they saw that I could do it, and they trained
Wow.
me on how to move him, and I don't have anybody moving him even at the hospital because I know how to move him. Even now,
Sure.
when he is in one of the dips, um, he he's a little bit weaker, and so right now he is not getting into the car by himself. I do have to guide him in and make sure that
Sure.
I get the chair really close. When you saw him, I had the chair a little far, a little behind, and
Yes.
he was able to take the few steps and then turn himself and get the whole, and even with his learning side being a little bit
Right.
weaker,
Right.
because we have been working with him, he has a really good range of motion.
Yeah, I noticed that.
Yeah. So, it's like Paul Cummings always says, you've got to practice, no
Yes,
matter
you
what. It's
definitely do.
whether the speaking or even the moving, and you can tell I talk with my hands a lot,
That's good.
But anyway, yes.
Yes. So now you're still doing some therapy at home, but then also you're doing a lot of things on Facebook. Every morning you're doing something, and you have your own page, which I watch all the time. I see everybody out here, most all uh, watch your show. It's every morning at 11:30 Central Time for me. And what's the name of your page?
It's Tom and Salud's real life redo. And
Yes.
yeah, and we do Qigong, which is QI. It's pronounced Chee, Qigong, which is a breathing, stretching, relaxation exercise. But
Right, right.
it's very gentle and it's moving and learning how to inhale and exhale. And then I find another strengthening type of exercise, and I usually get it from the Stroke Survivors Fitness page. And so Tom, does that. And then we've been doing tongue twisters to get him to talk more. And then I see that Yvonne Kent-Pateras is in the audience, and I've been reading her poems from
Yes, you have.
yes, and Tom eventually will learn those. So it's just getting all kinds of different things that he can use, and I love that uh, other community people have been coming on and encouraging him
I know.
and sharing your page, Paul's page, our page, uh, Mark Garman's page, Lynette Price. I mean, I can keep on
Yeah.
going, and you just go, oh my gosh. And so that's why I'm thinking, okay, let me just share these different pages on ours and share.
Yeah.
If somebody finds another person or people that are doing something that are inspiring you in some way, whether it's quotes or whether it's exercising or even interviewing like you and Paul do, and Mark. That's how I found out about Yvonne Kemp
Yeah.
Pateras and her story was because of Mark Garman's Determined show, and then yesterday with Paul's show with Alex or Alexandra, and I can't say her last name,
I
but from
know.
the UK,
She was
or
amazing.
wherever she is. Yes, yes. So there are so many amazing stories of resilience, of determination, of just keep on going and practicing. Right, Tom?
Right.
Yeah.
And you're so true because you mentioned Leslie Hadley,
Yes.
and she inspired me so much because not only did she have a stroke like I did and Tom, but she broke her hip like I did. So now she's does her wheelchair yoga. So now I've been taking her classes in my wheelchair, and if you ever have a chance, it's really amazing what she does.
And is that every day?
No, it's Monday and Fridays. Monday and Fridays. Um, and she'll. It depends how many people she'll be get there at her class. Um, so I had a private lesson yesterday with her at a different time than normal, but anyway, yeah. So go back to one other thing that I know because I had many times like Tom had. He's had his share of falls like I have.
Yes.
So he's had some recent falls as well. I understand, Tom. Trust me. I have broken hands. The most recent one was my hip.
Oh,
But so, Tom, you had a recent fall, didn't you?
it.
In the wheelchair.
Yes. I fell forward with just it. I did twice one day.
Yeah, fell forward like that. Unbelievable.
He remembers. I'm like, wow.
Yeah, you remember those type of things.
Oh yeah.
Exactly.
But he had to figure out how to get you out of that predicament. Oh
You
my.
did.
And
Yeah.
I love it. Mike Peters, I think, just asked. Let me see. Let me go back to it. Of course, you're putting up
This one right here?
Is she bossy? That one?
No, this one. Did you
that
see on the
one?
screen?
No.
It's
Here.
he says
Is She Bossy? It's from Mike Peters.
Oh,
Not, oh, listen, wait a minute. What?
Never.
oh,
Good.
Tom is a ladies' man for sure.
Yeah.
But also, Mike Peters also said, I pretended to be asleep when the therapist came in.
Well, he pulled that at one of the hospitals early on up here. And it was funny because he would pretend that he was getting tired. And it was
Right?
early on, so they, and there was a curtain. Of course, they had to draw the curtain when they were working with him. And
Yeah.
so they said, okay, Tom, we'll come back tomorrow, or we'll come back later, and maybe you'll have some energy. And so they came out, and then they peeked around like a minute later, and he was in full action, and they said, we caught you.
Oh, no.
So they knew about him. But anyway, yeah, with his falls, he actually fell in 2015 in September with one of the caregivers at night. He and I was sleeping in the living room at the time. Well, I did until March of this year. So I was in the living room on the couch or on the floor on a mat. But I stopped that when he got out of bed one time and fell. And luckily, I was on the floor because I broke his fall. Because otherwise,
Wow.
I think he would have had a broken neck. Um, he fell on my hip, and for over a year, I was like, "Oh, lame." But
Wow.
the one time he fell out of bed, he got out of bed, he figured out not to go with the rails. People will go, well, don't you have the rails? Yes, we have the rails. He knows how to
Right.
get over them. So he scooched to the front of the bed and got his legs down. And so I'm sleeping, and he goes, help, I'm going to fall. And I look up and I said, no kidding. And
You
then
grab arms out.
boom, it was like a tree falling, and he hit his head,
Oh,
and all the caregiver comes out ready to lift him up and put him in the chair. And I said, uh-uh. He got his ass out of bed. He's going to get it back in bed.
that's
And
right.
so I just turned him, we had him turn over. And I said, scooch over to the bed and then hoist yourself up. So he did. He figured out. And now I know that his teaching side
Right.
is the stronger. So I tell him to get on that side, and then he can get on that knee and get the
Right.
other one sort of on, and then he hoists himself up. So even with the chair thing the other day when he fell for, I'm like, how? Okay, he's got anti-tippers for the
Yeah.
back.
Oh,
Do they have anti-tippers for the front?
no.
No, if I'm not going to be like right on top of him, I actually put him in front of an armchair, so that if he does start reaching for anything, he's going to fall forward into the armchair.
Right. Right.
But through all the different falls through the years, he has not broken anything. He must have the strongest bones, except for right now he does have an infection in his spine. So,
Right. Right.
and I think that that's why he's leaning more to the right. But yeah, the reason I started our page, the Facebook Lives,
Yeah.
is because I figured, okay, what can I do to give some value to people in the community, but also to document this go round with his weakness and how we're going to get him stronger. Because I was doing that before with all the videos and pictures that I took from the
Right.
subacute to the acute. And there's one that I did post where he's throwing a basketball and he got it in. And tell what you used to do at Rancho Los Amigos with the golf.
We used to golf. See, appraisal. And the swing. Actually, use the driver or driving. and he moved really well.
Did you understand him?
Some of it I did. Some of it I can pick out.
Try again. Slow down. Swallow. Okay.
Okay.
So what did you do? You got to what sport is that? Did you-
Golf.
Okay.
Yes,
So how
I
did you get to golf?
Yeah.
All these tips went on the lot and outswing in his ball. Like drive. I drive for almost long now.
Okay, just breathe.
Uh,
Breathe.
Breathe.
Yeah, breathe.
A long drive. He says that.
Was that in Vallejo?
No, this was down in Rancho Los Amigos. So once
Okay.
a
Okay.
week while he was there, and then once a month, and as long as there were two patients signed up for the golf,
Right.
they have para golfers, and it's a
Yes.
special wheelchair that they strap him in and everything, and then they're able to get him into the standing position. And he was able to putt, drive, and chip.
Yeah.
And so, but we haven't done that in quite a while, just because it got too hot sometimes.
Yeah.
And then if they didn't have two patients to participate, then we couldn't do it. But we had him last summer,
Right.
from, let's see, July, August, September, until the end of September. He was at Next Step LA,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
that is a nonprofit, and
Yeah.
they started in LA because the founder actually became paralyzed from the neck down, I believe, and they subsidize the cost. And we were very fortunate. We he had 3 times a week, um, an hour each time for the 3 months. I committed to being home for 3 months. You
Yeah.
know?
Yeah. Holy smoly.
And yeah, so except for the time we met with you,
Right.
we took that Friday off. So that was 2019, and so they would have sometimes 4 people around him. But one of the things they had him do was standing by himself. Joel was close to him, but he stood and he putted. So I'll post that video. The cover page on our page is him working with the different therapists at Next Step LA, and they have a few um, um, facilities in different parts of the country. And then they have one in New Zealand and in Finland, I think. But their
Wow.
goal is to eventually get them into major cities or with the hospitals and everything. And their thing is getting the person to actually move on their own. And I love their way of the physical therapy.
Yeah. I've seen that. You used to post stuff in a while ago, um, of that facility, and I remember, but I don't remember Tom wearing a gait belt at all, because that was like part of my life, a gait belt.
At there, sometimes he did wear a gait belt, but not. It just depended on what he was doing that day. But yeah, many times he did not have a gait belt. With
Wow.
Brandon, he didn't have a gait belt, and Brandon, oh my gosh, would have him get up with one leg and his hands like this and hoist and get into a standing position. And so those are amazing. You know, you just think, whoa. So that was one of the highs.
Yeah.
That's our roller coaster. And then
Yeah.
right now we're going down, but we're not going to stay down here.
No, you won't. Not at all.
And right.
Right.
exactly. It's I'm really, first of all, I'm really proud of you, Tom, and
Thank you.
very proud of you, and salute to, I mean, same thing. I know what it's like to be not a caregiver, but Barb, what she has to go through, So it's a challenge, but we rise to the occasion, all of us.
Yes.
So,
Yeah, and
so
like
is there,
Jeanette
you know,
says,
yeah,
if you are down, don't stay down there. And Les Brown says if you fall on your back, because then you look up and you can get up, so yeah.
yeah. I tried that once.
You tried falling backwards?
Yeah, I ended up in the hospital having surgery of a broken hip. But
So
yeah,
on our show, I do say if you have balance issues, please stay seated or hold on to something
yeah,
or modify. But when I worked with my students in the home hospital, I did work with a paraplegic, and I still did the qigong with
right,
him, and then I worked with very very special needs children where they were probably working on a 2-year-old level or whatever, and
sure,
they learn these,
yeah, they do.
so yeah.
Very true. So, Salute and Tom, I know it's coming down to the last few minutes. So, is there? You're so good with your words, Salute and Tom. Any last parting, encouraging words you want to say to everybody, the stroke survivor or the caregiver, which I know you do.
Always easy, like, go through what you're doing. You never know what you're gonna become. And yeah, hard to become what you're busy doing. So,
Great.
So I think he said, keep on doing what you're doing.
uh,
You never
Yeah.
know what you're going to be able to do,
uh,
and keep busy because my,
yeah.
well, can you say the last part? Because I can't remember. Just relax.
Gotta keep doing what you're doing. So you keep moving up.
Keep doing what you're doing so you can keep moving up. And my
That's right.
suggestion to the caregivers is definitely have that little bit of time. Even though Tom is very dependent on me,
Right.
I have him timed, of when he needs to use the urinal. Oh, and even on the planes, that's the traveling part. We've got to continue this some other time. But you know what? I've never been afraid of. Hey, you know what? If somebody hasn't seen a penis, oh well. No, I'm kidding. But
No,
um,
I'm with you on that.
yeah. So the thing is the first time we traveled, I brought 2 caregivers by
Right.
plane. And then the second time it was 1 caregiver. After that, the third time on, and that's on the stories thing. I have not brought a caregiver at all. And even
Right.
now, he's really a bit weaker.
Right.
I just make sure, and we're in a facility, in a complex that has the wine tasting rooms. And as a matter of fact, I'm meeting with one of the owners later on today,
Yeah.
but I'll bring him maybe.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
but for the caregivers, it's really, there are times when we're going to be really frustrated, and make sure I have a lot of very good friends, and some of them are here and will be listening later because some are actually working on their business.
Right.
But it's having the good support system.
Yeah.
And you know what? It's up to us, not to wait for other people to come. It's if you're open and actually reaching out to people, then they are right there. And I know some people have lost friends, family, whatever, through this process.
Right.
But the thing is that if you don't wait for them sometimes, because sometimes they're afraid.
Yeah.
Sometimes other people are afraid of, I know some of his friends are afraid that when we go out, they're drinking and he can't drink, or something.
Sure.
But I did let him. There is one video where he was drinking some beer. But anyway, you know how I
Way to go, Tom.
don't ever give up. That's just it. It's and know that I tell people I'm not a Pollyanna. I don't have my head in the sand. I know
Right.
that there are going to be times where something might. But I told you this earlier. I don't like to put the negative out into the universe.
Right.
I really believe in, be prepared, know some kind of plan, but
Right.
you don't have to keep on thinking, oh, this might happen or that might happen. Okay, and if it happens, what do you do?
That's
So
it.
that's my whole attitude, and he knows that, and he knows I don't put up with his baloney. It's
We
like,
all know that.
hey, wait a minute, you better figure it out, mister.
That's right. That's right. Well, Salud and Tom, you guys are just terrific, and I love you guys, and I appreciate you telling your story because I believe everybody knows you guys, but they don't know the story that you just told about your, survival story and what you're going through, Tom, and what you're going through, Salud. So thank you so much. It's so very inspiring, and I've seen a lot of comments on that. And for those of you that are here, thank you so much for being here, and we'll get back to your comments if we haven't addressed them.
Thank you.
So yeah, thank you guys, and we'll see everybody later, and we'll talk to you again. Have a great day, everyone.